In this video, I'm going to talk about 4 cryptocurrencies that I think might be due for a pop in the next month to 2 months, and I'm going to talk about why I think that they'll actually be due for a pop. Now, my name is Rob from Crypto Bobby. If you are new here, hit the subscribe button. I do daily recorded videos on the subject of cryptocurrency, and sorry for the recording out of my car, traveling on the road right now, so if the sound isn't great, if the audio isn't great, sorry about that. But let's hop into it. So here are 4 specific cryptocurrencies that I think might be due for a pop in the near future, and exactly why I think that they could potentially be due for a pop. So I'm going to get started with the largest of these cryptocurrencies, and I'll also, for full disclosure, talk about exactly which ones I'm holding right now or have invested in, and exactly which ones I do not have any type of investment in, but may be considering it because I'm talking about it and evaluating these options in the future. So I'll go from largest to smallest in terms of market cap, and I'll talk about kind of why that I think that these could potentially be due for a pop. So the first one that I'm going to get into is the second largest cryptocurrency in existence right now, and it's Ethereum. And the reason I think Ethereum is something that might be due for a pop and might be due for a little bit of separation from Bitcoin in terms of the ratio it's been trading at for quite a bit of time now is a lot of the technical advancements and the improvements to scaling that I do believe Ethereum is going to be able to make in the near future here. So there have been a number of different pushes from an advancement perspective, whether it's Metropolis, Raiden, a number of others. And if you're looking for really good information on the technical advancements, the scaling issues that are currently underway with both Bitcoin and Ethereum, there was actually a video yesterday with Vitalik Buterin at TechCrunch Disrupt. It's a 25-minute video. I'll link to it somewhere. Look up here. There'll be a link for that video. And it's a 25-minute video, but there's a number of different times where Vitalik talks about the issues of scaling and how right now Ethereum's at about 5 transactions per second. If they hit about 6, they're pretty much at full capacity. And they're looking to significantly increase that in the near future. And I think if Ethereum can pull off that type of increase, that we're going to see a spike back to the all-time highs of $400, potentially above the all-time highs of $400, maybe pushing 400 or 450, 500 potentially. So I think that that's something that I'm really keeping an eye on, is how these testnet, how the Metropolis rollout on testnet goes, how a lot of the advancements that Ethereum is looking to make, how the ETH devs are able to progress, how that goes in the near future, and if they're able to pull off those advancements, if Ethereum is able to scale transactions, I think Ethereum is in for a big spike in terms of its price. And so that's one thing that I'm absolutely looking on. And for that reason, Ethereum is kind of the number one largest cryptocurrency that I'm looking at in terms of a spike, as well as why I think it will spike. Now, number 2 is another pretty large one. We'll have to scroll down here to number 9, but Manero Xmr is the number 2 cryptocurrency that I'm looking at as far as a potential pop in the near future. Now, Monero already popped quite a bit. If we're looking at the past 3 months or so, Monero was hovering around $40 for quite some time, and for really the better part of June to mid-August, Monero was hovering in the $40 to low $50 range. And once it was added to a couple different exchanges, it popped all the way up from $50 or so up to about $150 at its all-time highs. 150 kind of settled at 130 or so, and then has now settled back down around $100 with some of the kind of Chinese regulation crash and a lot of the things that went on there. I think that Monero, if it can, right now Monero is by far the largest privacy coin in existence, and one of my kind of investing theses, or just cryptocurrency theses in general, is that privacy coins and privacy on the blockchain is going to become more and more important as time goes on, whether it's due to regulations, due to people trying to kind of avoid government oversight, or whatever it might be. Even if people aren't necessarily using that specific cryptocurrency for those use cases, I think investors are going to pour money in anticipation of those type of use cases. So will Monero be able to get back to its all-time high of about 130, 140, 150? I think so. And if it does, that is a 40+% jump in terms of where Monero is at right now. So I'm looking at Monero as a potential cryptocurrency that can get back to its all-time highs, and I'm trying to discover an investment thesis on why it is. And in my opinion, it's the prevalence of these privacy coins going into the future and why they're going to be important, because people are going to be looking to skirt a lot of the regulations, whether it's avoiding government oversight, whatever it might be. If Monero can continue to establish itself as the largest privacy coin in existence, that's going to be good news for Monero. That's going to be good news for any Monero investors, and it will increase the utility of the token. So right now I am actually not, and I'll go over my portfolio at the end of this, I do not have any holdings of Monero. It is not something I hold right now. I'm considering looking into Monero. I've been looking into Monero in the near future and might pull the trigger on an investment there, but right now I don't hold any Monero. I do hold Ethereum. So I hold Ethereum. That's kind of one of my number one cryptos that might pop, especially after some of Vitalik's comments at TechCrunch. Monero is number 2. I do not hold any Monero. Now, number 3 in terms of the market capitalization percentage and where we're at right now, going to have to go down to around number 52, and that's 0x or ZX. And this is something that after its ICO in mid-August spiked all the way up from $60-something million in market cap all the way up to about $300 million, and has since had a pretty steady sell-off down to a sub or around $100 million in market cap and an overall price of about 21 cents. So 0x is a protocol for trading tokens, and they have a decentralized exchange per se, which is called their portal. This is something that I think is really interesting, and a lot of my thought process or my thesis around 0x is that decentralized exchanges are going to become more and more important as regulation continues to increase. So, whether it's China banning cryptocurrency exchanges, whether it might be in the near future if the U.S. government and the Securities and Exchange Commission starts to pinch down on Bittrex, starts to pinch down on Poloniex, because some of these recent ICO tokens might be exchanges. I think decentralized exchanges and decentralized token platforms like 0x Project might become more and more important and more useful, because it might be harder and harder to leverage something like Bittrex, leverage something like Poloniex, and obviously 0x has fallen off from an investment perspective, down quite a bit, down 60-65% or so. But I think that as I'm watching a lot of these recently ICO'd cryptocurrencies, and I'll kind of get to that in my next point here a little bit, but as I'm looking at a lot of these tokens here, so let's say if we wanted to, if you own 0x token and you wanted to buy a number of these different cryptocurrencies, whether that's Melon, OMG, 10x Pay token, Economy, Status Network, Storage, DNT, there's a number of different tokens that you could purchase with this, with 0x Project. And I think that the more tokens they could add, the easier they make it to utilize this platform, the better that this decentralized type of exchange might be. Now, obviously there's other options right now for decentralized exchanges. If you think about Ether Delta, we can pop that in if that loads for right now, but we can think about Ether Delta as another decentralized exchange. However, as I said, I think decentralized exchanges are going to become more and more prevalent, more and more important as we move forward in this industry, because I think Bittrex and Poloniex and a lot of these exchanges that have a number of recently ICO tokens may potentially run into some issues with the SEC in the future. And you can see now that they're taking a lot longer to list recently ICO tokens, months and months actually. So with that being said, I think that decentralized exchanges are going to be more important. 0x Project has a really good potential to be a fantastic decentralized exchange. Ether Delta is right now one of the most prominent decentralized exchanges, but it's also, in my opinion, one of the more difficult ones to utilize. And with that being said, being that it is pretty difficult to utilize, I think it increases the barrier to entry for a lot of people. Many of you guys that are watching this might be subscribers, and you might have tried to use Ether Delta and you just don't like it. It's a different concept to centralized exchanges. If 0x can make this a better type of experience, replicate what a lot of what Ether Delta is all about, but make it a better experience, better the user UI, better the UX, then I think we're in for a nice spike in the near future as a lot of these cryptocurrencies take longer to get added to exchanges. Now, going off that conversation, speaking of taking longer to get added to an exchange, we'll pop over here, and pretty much the highest volume cryptocurrency that's been on Ether Delta for a while has been Monetha, MTH. This is a cryptocurrency that I participated in during the ICO. They raised, I think it was $30-something million in 18 minutes in the ICO. We can take a look over here on CoinMarketCap, and it had a really nice spike once the token was released on September 5th. Spiked all the way up to about $87 million, and has since steadily fallen off to around $38 million at this point in time. So almost back towards the ICO price. Now, why do I think Monetha MTH might spike back up? Why do I think that there is a good chance for Monetha to spike up in the next month? And I think it has to do with if and when Monetha gets added to a big exchange. And I think that will happen. I think that Monetha has the regulatory backing, has the power to be added to an exchange like a Bittrex, like a Poloniex. If it's an exchange in Asia, to an exchange in Asia, I think that there is a good chance the MTH is going to get added to an exchange. If you can see here right now, Ether Delta is really only trading on Ether Delta or Mercatox, and the only one that has any type of really notable volume is Ether Delta for the most part. So I'm looking at this as the second that Monetha gets announced that it will be added to an exchange, then it's going to pop up quite a bit. Hopefully it pops up more than where we were at previously with this $87 million or so, 40 cents. I've held the majority of my Monetha investment from the ICO in anticipation of waiting for Monetha to get added to an exchange. But this kind of goes back to a lot of my point about 0x as well. Is Monetha released their token on September 5th, September 19th, 2 weeks later. The only exchange that Monetha, which is a pretty legit project in the space, has been added to is Ether Delta. It's taken 2+ weeks. The team has talked about being added to larger exchanges, but they've publicly admitted on their YouTube channel, they've publicly admitted and spoken about the fact that Ether Delta, or that a lot of the larger exchanges are taking much longer to do due diligence on their platforms. So they're evaluating these recently ICO tokens because they don't want anything that could potentially be considered a security. But if and when Monetha gets added to one of these exchanges, which I think will hopefully happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that's going to spike the price. In my opinion, will spike the price and will give an opportunity for a lot more people to buy Monetha. And that could be a good point in time. Right now could be a great point in time to acquire Monetha. And if you're looking for potentially a quick flip, when it gets added to an exchange, might be that time. So that's what I have my eye on, and that is my fourth cryptocurrency. So going back to it, right now we'll talk about the 4 cryptocurrencies. So we'll sum up the 4 cryptocurrencies that I spoke about. Ethereum at number 1, spiking potentially jumping due to the technical advancements with Metropolis, with Raiden, and if they can solve their scaling issues or improve upon their scaling issues, going from 6 transactions a second to upwards of whatever it might be and whatever the goals are, whatever they can feasibly put into place, Ethereum is number 1. Manero Xmr is down about 40-50% from its all-time highs, or actually probably about 30-40% off its all-time highs. If privacy coins, and my thesis there being privacy coins, they have a really good chance to gain some added benefit in the future. Monero, number 2. I don't hold any Monero. I hold Ethereum. Number 3 is 0x, a decentralized platform that has a better user interface, in my opinion, than Ether Delta. It doesn't have as many cryptocurrencies right now, but if they can continually advance that platform, I think 0x has a lot of utility, especially within the next 1 to 2 months. And outside of that, I don't hold any 0x. The last one being Monetha, MTH. I currently hold Monetha from the ICO. I think that once Monetha gets listed onto an exchange like Bittrex, Poloniex, whatever exchange might be, anything basically better than Ether Delta, which basically everything is better than Ether Delta, that's going to be a good opportunity for Monetha to spike up. So if you're looking for a potential quick profit, this might be a good one within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So hopefully that was helpful for you. If you have any cryptocurrencies that you think I should be evaluating, or that you think are in a good position for a flip at this point in time, or just a nice jump, then I would be interested in hearing your opinion. I'm always interested in hearing your comments, so please comment below. And again, if you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. I do daily recorded videos on the cryptocurrency space. Thank you so much for your time, and hit the like button if you found this helpful. Rob from Crypto Bobby, again, thanks for your time. Hope you have a good one. Peace.